Hello, everyone. Hello, my little happy elves of Stone Soup of various denominations, but still in the Saint Nicky type of spirit. Hello, Patricia with the Santa cats. I did not see that. I did not see that coming. I think that'd be real cats with the hats, or maybe they were real cats and you just stuffed them. I don't know. Hopefully, Nico will have her Santa hat on later on. Thank you guys for showing a little bit of the spirit. Got a lot to do tonight, and I do want to encourage everyone who's listening to this to stay tuned for further news on Deb Priestley's feature at the Assemblage Gallery at 4 Point Arts Community. Hopefully, we'll get some kind of hybrid deal going on. I'll be looking forward to that if we're actually able to do it. Jeff, I might actually want to talk to you about the software you used. The attachment you used to film the Garage Poets when you came to Stone Soup, because that was actually amazing. I'll probably send up a follow email to you later. What else to say? Submit to the Christmas Wars if you haven't already. I want your take, however satirical, serious, on the war on Christmas. The deadline for submissions is not going to be until until midnight on the 18th, and then we're going to run our selection. We've already gotten a couple of short stories, one or two poems, some people who are enticed. We even have some people from out of the country who are asking, what is this Christmas Wars? They don't understand how bugfuck our country is. So won't you please help me shine some wisdom for him on this matter, educate him with your work. Please submit. And with that, we're going to get to the selection from the Ramdonator 5000. And fresh from her campaigning work, I hope you didn't get too hungover after Georgia's big win down south, as opposed to Georgia's big win up north. Fuck it. Anyway, let's welcome up Patricia Kerrigan.
Hi. Anyway, can we send you stuff that has been already published? The Christmas Wars?
I'll consider it. I wouldn't mind having some good, like recent stuff, but unpublished stuff. But
I've been too busy to write.
I will consider it.
Okay, Birth to the Blues. Every time it rains, the blues are born, even when it's sunny. Rain isn't limited to the weather. There are days when our clouds can't hold back how we feel. The blues travel down our cheeks, say things that shouldn't be said, do things that shouldn't be done, opt for a place to be alone. The blues are what they are because they are born from our blues. The blues seek solace amid rainbows. We pick up our horns, play tunes for rain-washed trees. And this is a haiku version of it, with a little more Billie Holiday in it.
There you go.
Every time it rains, the blues are born, even when the sun is shining. Ladies sing the blues, stranded notes travel down cheeks, rain comforts sorrow. The blues seek solace. We pick up our horns, play tunes to soothe rain-washed eyes. Thanks. Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Patricia. Hope we'll see you come by at least one more time before we have our last Stone Soup of the year. But
yeah, this is my manuscript. I finally printed it out tonight.
Where's it being submitted to?
Not yet. I have to have somebody look at it. I had a problem with my printer, and I asked for Santa Claus to please give me a new printer
There you
for
go.
Hanukkah and Christmas.
Or at least an Indiegogo so we can fund it. Anyway,
Okay.
get on that, Santa. And up next, let's welcome up someone who was obviously an officer in the war on Christmas for the other side, defense. Let's welcome up Bill Lewis.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only a hippopotamus will do. I don't want a doll, no rinky tinker toy. I only want a hippo I can play with and enjoy. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. I don't think Santa Claus will mind, do you? He won't have to use our dirty chimney flue. He can bring him in the front door. That's the easy thing to do. I can see myself on Christmas morning creeping down the stairs. Imagine my surprise when I open up my eyes and see my hippo hero standing there. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only a hippopotamus will do. No rhinoceroses, no crocodiles, no rhinoceroses. I only like hippopotamuses, and hippopotamuses like me too. Defense of Christmas.
Thank you, Bill. I was wondering when the hippopotamus song was going to come out. You think you'd see it coming? It'd be that big. Up next, let us welcome up Miss Jan Rowe.
So this week for Black Seed Writers, I took something that I forgot this folder. I meant to take to Black Seed Writers. I took what I read last week about the railroad strike. So this time I'm going to put what I gathered up and forgot to put in my backpack. Frederick Douglass was a slave for 20 years and a runaway slave for 9 years. Now, I don't know if that was together, the 20 and the 9. As a child, Frederick Douglass was a slave on what Donald Rumsfeld owns. You know, Donald Rumsfeld, ex-arms dealer. Is he this Bush's Secretary of State?
Yes,
Oh my, Secretary of Defense. Oh my God.
forget.
So this is what Donald Rumsfeld owns now. Talbot County, Maryland, Chesapeake Bay. He's next door to 5 deferment Dick Cheney. So Congressman John Lewis of Georgia died about 2 years ago. I hope somehow his spirit or soul knows that his state of Georgia has its first Black federal senator, Raphael Warnock. So this is, oh yeah, this is from January 2021 when he first got in. Okay, there are pictures of the Northern Virginia Civil War battle flag, often mistakenly called the Confederate flag, being carried in the breached Capitol. This contrasts with Georgia sending a Black man and a Jewish man to the Senate. And for some reason, I go to J. Edgar Hoover, proven crossdresser, targeted Martin Luther King Jr., Black Panther, Fred Hampton, and Leonard Peltier, who's been in jail for 50 years. Hoover started with the Palmer raids that led to the private mercenary Pinkertons and to the Union busting. Then I'm jumping to Martha Washington. Unclear whether Georgia died by this time. She was going to give a 22-year-old slave as a wedding present. The wedding was in Philadelphia, and the 22-year-old slave was able to escape rather than be a wedding present. And Hercules, Washington's cook, also escaped. Now, President James Madison's slave helped keep the British from burning down the White House in 1814. He was supposed to be freed upon Madison's death, but Dolly would not free him. And when she fell on hard times, this slave took care of her and provided food. One thing from the late Congressman John Lewis: don't get lost in a sea of despair. Thank you. Wouldn't have something. Here, there, and everywhere.
Thank you, Jan. And up next, let's welcome up one of the founding members of the Garage Poets, one of the hosts of the Garage Poets open mic, which will not be happening this Friday, but a later Friday. I'm sure he'll tell you all about it. And a Past Stone Soup feature this year, one of the first live features back, alongside Ethan Mackler, who's also coming up later on. Let's welcome up Mr. Jeff Taylor.
Thank you, Chad. So I've been looking through my old work from like the early 2000s, and I came across this poem, and I seem to have, it's been sticking in my mind the last few days, so I'm going to read it. Excuse me. I wonder if there's time for a cigarette after you die, is the title. Is there time, split-second dreamscape blowing rings at coffee break? Is there time, a waiting room, fuzzy white couches, blue lights, lounge acts, lava lamps, and ashtrays? Can you get caught up at the bar and be late, drinking some cheap port with Jack? He hasn't left the bar yet, that old Bodhivatsa, the true host of St. Pete's party. They've got some killer jazz here, you know. The talent, you should see the talent that comes through this place. Is there time to get your kicks knocking over streets, scat talk over tea, time to light up a smoke, just sit there and think, was it all worth it? Is the white light all hype, like the workplace break place? Bad coffee and no smoking? Is there time to realize what just happened to me, what's going to happen next? Or does the line go straight on through dreaming? Red velvet ropes keep souls like cattle, not knowing, ushered to the end. It seems like the kind of thing that you would need a cigarette after. Eternity can't come easy. Anything that has ever been worth its salt has jammed itself into my wounds. Is there time, or do we just fall into it, trip on a rock in our dreams and wake up somebody else, crying in our mother's arms? I sure as hell don't know, but I know I'm gonna need to be sitting down smoking a butt when I find out. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Who do we have next? Randonator 5000 has now chosen. Oh, and I will, looks like she's been so quiet and so patiently waiting. I didn't even think to mute her, but she's unmuted and therefore she's ready to go. Let's welcome up our phone participant for tonight, Miss Carol Weston.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Let me see. Okay, my friend in Pearson. She read at Stone Soup. She has a society for the protection of animals, and I've lost her. Sort of scared that she might. Anyway, so this poem was written for the Environmental Journal, or what is it called? Well, anyway, Together on the Hill, and this is oh, she's doing a book on dogs, and sitting together on the hill, we sniff the air. Then one of us barks, the other one barks. Human beings might call it a language. It is our way of being together. We know how to speak without the waste of words. Our time is muscular. Our dreams run through our muscles in the night. Our ears turn to other wolf voices, and we howl together. We are beyond any human church. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. What do we have next? Going down the list nicely. Let's welcome up legacy poet herself, Ms. Julian Powers.
Looked like tears streaming as he slid downhill, crashing through everything in the way of his descent. The smell of crushed leaves in his wake, making long-lasting stains on his palms. Crawling back up, with knees scraped raw, the dreams left his body as he cascaded to the bottom. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. And now, let's go over to recently published author, Mr. John Wesick.
Thank you.
He said you've had a good year this year.
I
You've
did,
been
yes.
busy.
This is called A Christmas Story. No matter the time of day, the boardroom of Spectre Toys, a division of Spectre Missile and Defense Systems, remained cloaked in shadows. The chief executive officer sat behind a desk on raised steel flooring and stroked his cat's long white fur. Both had a predator's pale blue eyes that pierced their victims' bowels with icicles of fear. A livid purple scar ran from the CEO's left eye socket to the top of his shaved skull, perhaps the way he pinched his black cigarettes between thumb and index finger gave his subordinates some clue of his origin, but they referred to him only as Number 2. A Japanese man stood before Number 2's desk. Although short in stature, his erect posture gave him the air of command. Liberal use of gel kept each of his gray hairs in place. Behind him, a woman in a tweed suit and tortoiseshell glasses held a clipboard. The Junior Backyard Nuclear Waste Storage Kit's authorization is making its way through Congress. This time there will be no failures. Excellent, Number 3. Number 2 formed a steeple with his fingers. Now tell me about the Tina anorexia doll. We launched the product last week, complete with miniature scale, exercise cycle, and case of diet soda. And the scale model Guantanamo prison kit? Yes, sir. I'm told the interrogation rooms are quite realistic. How are the sales? Number 3 swallowed. Despite years of practice in high-stakes corporate negotiations, a tremor appeared on the corner of his mouth. They're not buying, sir. What do you mean they're not buying? The times are tough. They've decided to spend their money elsewhere. I don't pay you to let them make up their minds. Number 2 pressed a button on the armrest. A trap door opened. Number 3 fell into the pool under the steel platform. The water boiled with hundreds of piranhas, each biting a thimble of flesh from his body. Within seconds, the skeleton sank to the bottom. Congratulations on your promotion, Number 4. Number 2 stroked the cat and fingered the gold ring on his right hand. Make sure merchants start playing recorded Christmas music the day before Thanksgiving and keep it up until the shoppers' minds are numb. Have our corporate affiliates double their employees' unpaid overtime. Guilty parents spend more during the holidays. Aside from that, have our TV stations show Miracle on 34th Street over and over again. Encourages gullibility. What advertiser wouldn't love it? You may go. The new Number 3 scribbled notes on her clipboard and left to set Number 2's plans in motion. You know, Wotan, number 2, spoon caviar into the cat's crystal bowl. This could be our best Christmas ever.
And everyone gets a bonus of $1 million. I couldn't help but hear a Dr. Evil voice in there, in at least one of the characters. Thank you, John. And up next, let's welcome up the musical stylings of Ethan Mackler, who has at least one announcement for us for this coming Friday.
No, that could perhaps wait till later.
Thank you so much, Ethan. And we just had someone join us, and the Ramdonator 5000 wants him. He's had a busy, very busy year. He saw the completion of his 20-year opus. I think it's at least, or 40-year opus, the open mic poems, available off of his website. He's performed. He's had one art show. He's had at least one art show, 2 live performances with a backup band. He's been busy. He's been a busy boy, and it's good he has the time to be with us. Let's welcome up CC Ashadra.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yes, 40 years would make me about 80, so I think it's closer to. It's about 25 years in the making, and it was between 99 and 01 that the books came out. So that's why it's a 20-year anniversary, give or take, Eugenics 19, which is what I'm calling it now. Alone standing in the sky, a line within a poem being read. Before I read this one, I just want to say that there were so many poets that came to TT the Bears, and a lot of times they would come and they would be afraid to read, and they may eventually get up and read. And I love talking to new people who came in over the years, and Jeff was there quite a bit. And I would talk to them, why you want to read, or why would you, are you going to come back? And they go, I don't know, because, I'm afraid someone's going to take my stuff. And it was the number of people that were afraid to share the most personal, private thing, because you got to remember, an open mic is for everyone. You don't have to have a degree or even, made it past the 8th grade to go to an open mic. So you can get up there and read anything. And it's so precious that the idea that they're going to have a poem stolen. And there was actually a poet once who came to Stone Soup, loved one of my poems, thanked me, and then came back a year later from Ireland, and it was in his book. So you just can't let that slow you down or stop you. But it inspired that feeling for everyone. Like, these poems, like the other day I read a feature over at Spofest. That was one of 3 poets last night, and I opened the book like this, and I go, there's 10,000 poets in here. So this one here, if I could find it again, I just flipped it past it. It wasn't until I wrote part 3, What Manner of Character, that I realized that this was the original idea for character poems. But if it was, it would have been named The Poor, Poor Thief of Poetry. But it's just called Open Microphone number 25. Alone standing in the sky, a line within a poem being read into sound, form, reaching an iron image that outlines its essence of being for the air. Now breathe, for the poem is over now, but the iron line hangs there, still in the sky, alone as a steel beam suspended. A skyscraper building itself from the fall of heaven, and there it lives to be real. Below, a writer, head hanging low. How it floats there tempts the writer, looking now very thirsty for a muse fix, for a free meal, for a reason to take or steal something given. Now from street level, the city sidewalk stands to hold this skeleton to the concrete ground. The writer's bones pile up to a bipedal limited height as its flesh and muscle tissues unite to reflect on what? The questioning effort throws the arching skull skyward, the eye sockets housing the teeth of why listen, yet still hungry enough to bite this image and imagine the rest of this structure to be, thinking, whose building is it? Why is this beam here? What form of nothing beneath can support it? This pain of hunger and no inspiration pangs the ego not empty within the hungry writer. The mysterious muscles behind the writer's eyes strain to look up no longer, then fall with bones dry to curb near a gutter's bank. The writer takes pen in hand and opens a notebook to scribe in and on and on. Here, to the writer's mind comes an invasion of integrity that haunts the inspiration of the soul-hungry writer. Then another pang comes and sharply forgets remembering what first made the iron beam appear. The quickly forgotten fact was selfish enough to satisfy the news source from which it now comes. So here the ink pours onto the impatience of the paper, clutched by the hungry writer's need. What is written begins to spell exactly what the true source first spoke to invoke the iron beam. And then another pang comes and the hungry writer denies its existence without even a mention. Still again, the haunt of integrity comes, this time in the form of a fly that lands dead on the writer's neck. Bug off! The writer cries without words that form any type of acknowledgement. It's my poetry, damn you, fly, you're interrupting me. And without forewarning, the beam leaves the sky in a rush to fall to crush the now corpse that lies there with what's left of its remaining integrity to be read, all bloody and draining. The next day, the newspaper headline read, "A writer dead." Above was photo. The obituary read, "He was nicknamed by his peers the poor, poor thief of poetry." The reading of his will said, "When I die, I hereby take with me all that I have ever written, and nobody will survive me. I hereby leave no goodwill." It's one of many in here. I usually just read the beautiful ones, but lately I've been delving into the underbelly of, can we get out of our way and really become the gift that we are in democracy, free speech, and humanity? That's why the book is called Human Rights, Free Speech, and the Word now. And thank you very much. I'll put a link in there. Thank you for those who have ordered a copy. The mass order went out. So I think hopefully before the end of the year, the books will be arriving in a box. I'm only selling them out of here, so everyone is signed and sent to you. And I'm staying away from Amazon and all those rest for now. I'll figure that out later on, but keep it simple. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you, CC, and keep on doing the deep dives. That was fun.
Yeah, okay, I like the deep dives. Yeah, what do you call it in records? The
B tracks.
Yeah, the lesser known tracks. There's another name
Yes.
for it. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And up
And thank you.
next, oh, no worries. We have next our oddball columnist for tomorrow, Thursday. Check out his column. It's all poem column. It's all one thing, published at oddballmagazine.com at 11 o'clock in the morning. And check out oddballmagazine.com. We have a lot of really good work in there this week, including some really nice response pieces to the recent voting craze and the crushed railroads, the railroad railroads. I don't know, the crushed railroads law bill. Ugh. It's that was done by Tom Daly. He put it much more succinctly than I just tried to. Let's listen now to Mr. James Van Looy.
Thanks, Chad. Yes, so I've got a poem here called "Just Over the Way." I think that was Flipside and strike breaking is what we're confronted with here, of course. Just over the way. You can see the one who won't last long, whose total opacity to their own doom is excruciating as pure innocence. They will go on trying in denial to their end. They, who are really we, just assume it will be someone else, another one than they. We will ever really know this cipher, this non-entity, this thing that just keeps on infiltrating us, finds its way into our tiniest little cells. That is in the air we breathe and in the Thanksgiving food we just ate. And it's amazing we've lasted this long. When we look over and see that face that's staring into that long, giant distance in the eyes of the one who won't last long. Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling too hard to your possessions, for you have nothing, you have no rights. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege expended, unless enjoyed by one and all. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken now they must give, and end the vanity of nations. We but one earth on which to live. And so begins the final drama in the streets and in the fields. We stand unbowed before their armor. We defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concession, change will not come from above. And that is Billy Bragg's International. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And now it's time to go back to start, collect $200 and start and begin at the beginning. And this time the Ramnator 5000 for this week picked our starting poet to be Patricia Kerrigan. Looks like you're still muted.
I misplaced the poem. Can you move on to somebody else? And I'll
Oh,
come-
yeah, okay. Yeah, I just couldn't,
Sorry
we just
about
couldn't
this.
hear you. Okay. Just raise your hand if,
Yeah, I just,
no worries. We will move on now to Mr. Bill Lewis.
Nah, I don't want to be depressive. Forget it. I'm not going to do that poem. I'll do something else. There are too many troubles in the world. You don't need bothering poems from me. Something happy. There's so much beautiful and joyful in the world. There's so many good people doing such wonderful things. I'll complain about stuff later, damn it. Okay. Here, sure. Oh, I guess this is a poem of lament, but not quite so depressing as my other poems of lament. Everybody flies but me. Sitting on launch, watching birds fly, watching mosquitoes, watching time fly. Everybody flies but me. They call for east, so I set up for east, and I watch folks flying west. Wherever I go, it's blowing down. I never know which side's best. Pre-flight hook in, I'm ready to go, an hour and a half on launch. So I take a dump and the valley flies free. Everybody flies but me. First in the morning, last at night, I can't get off of that hill. I must have pissed off them wind gods bad to grudge me such an evil will. So I QSO on my ICOM, I play music on my Vario. I got a 3P Z3 bed and a 20 gore pillow, just waiting for that wind to blow. My catheter dribbled as I sucked on my tube, and I watched the clouds go by. With my feet propped up in the shadow I lay of my $3,000 full race tweaked out surf coated metal cloth double sleeve airwave sunshade.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Patricia's ready.
I just saw that. And Patricia, you're on.
Okay, thank you. Some Christmas cat code. I'll repeat them twice. Sparkling lights dazzle Christmas tree. Cat spins into action. Sparkling lights dazzle Christmas tree. Cat spins into action. Christmas tree becomes the cat tree. Timber. Christmas tree becomes the cat tree. Timber. Santa Kitty makes Grumpy Cat look angelic. Santa Kitty makes Grumpy Cat look angelic. And then the last one, Frosty the Snowman. Body parts scatter on lawn. Cat blames dog. Frosty the Snowman. Body parts scatter on lawn. Cat blames dog. Thank you.
Very nice. And up next, oh, sorry. Let's welcome up. Let's welcome back up Miss Jan Rowe.
Okay. Okay, this is another draft of what I read last week. It's called Dozens and Dozens of Tanker Railroad Cars Fall Off Tracks. Boarding the DC bound train in Connellsville, PA, we were unknowingly on the first passenger train, Capital Limited, after the massive derailment that we also didn't know about. So I'm in the observation deck of the passenger train with stair-step Mennonite or Amish kids, and we're enthralled watching a cell phone screen, enthralled that we can see the train we're on snaking through the mountains, reminiscent of the game Ticklebee, until we come upon dozens and dozens of tanker railroad cars strewn along the tracks and in people's yards. Cumberland, Maryland, Queen of the Alleghenies, very steep. The oldest people on the East Coast live here as a result of the steepness. The rail freight carriers cut the workforce by about 30% this last decade, so the workers must be very available. And the corporate carriers are doing the hiring, unlike longshoremen, so the senior people go to the bottom. And if scheduled off, a worker will be called in to work, and you better call back in or you get a demerit despite mountain lack of cell phone towers. So so the Congress forced the railroad workers to accept this. So they cut the workforce 30%, and now the workers have no sick time. So, boy, their stock buybacks are up about 300%. That used to be illegal till Reagan. So these corporate freight carriers made a lot of money. The Cumberland, Maryland train workers lost money, lost their jobs. The reason for that derailment, there was a possible error on the part of the corporate carrier. So they were just supposed to go across Pennsylvania. There was no reason to go south, get into the Allegheny section of the Appalachians, and then have to go back north through the mountains. It was a likely error on the part of the train carrier. They could have used some of those Cumberland or those train workers they got rid of. Thank you. Since we're talking about it.
Okay.
I thought.
Thank you, Jan. And up next, hopefully back from his cigarette break. Let's welcome up Mr. Jeff Taylor.
You got it. Here I am. So I'm gonna read something from the early 2000s again. I thought I had lost all these poems, and because I had a house fire and I lost like a lot of stuff, and I lost the notebooks that all these poems were in, and I then going through some stuff found this like mock-up of a book I was gonna put out, and so I had written up like a mock-up book, and so it's just so I would see where all the pages lie, and I found this mock-up, and now I have some of these poems back. So now I've been going through them, and now I'll read this other one that doesn't have a title. Old ghosts die, held captive by warriors of a new song, played full blast so only we can hear it. I want to play in the fields of the world. Kite in hand, I fly, thread to no spool but the sky, looking down at the birds, pecking at the crumbs of a lost generation. We find the reasons why we live this life, tucked in between the covers of your bed, between our bodies, dancing to the rhythms of the night. We fight to survive the lashings of someone we cannot see. Thank you.
So you just found these recently?
Yes,
That's pretty awesome.
it is.
Congratulations on that discovery.
Thank you.
I'm a serious archivist, and I just found out I might have lost a couple of scans of things. So, I mean, so anytime I find out that someone lost and found something, even if it's on the same breath of conversation, I'm always excited for that person. So that was awesome. Hope we hear more. Let's
I
welcome.
also discovered, sorry, in the
Go on.
same line, I also, over the pandemic, I discovered that my friend Kevin, who played in the band with me when I did a feature at Stone Soup at TT the Bears. I believe it's the last feature they had at TT's, and
Wow.
my friend was one of the musicians that played behind me, and he had a recording of the feature that I didn't know existed. So now he lives in Arizona, but it's on like it's on a DAT tape, so he has to
wow.
convert it to something I can that I would be able to play, but he's going to convert it and send it to me. But he played me some of it through his DAT player and just like held the microphone
mic.
to it.
Yeah.
And so you can hear Jack saying that it's like the last feature at TT's.
Wow, I want to see that. I want to hear this. That sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
it's only audio. It's not video. It's only audio.
Do you know
Even
the date?
so,
The
Yeah,
date?
yeah. So if he sends it to me, I'll make it available to everybody.
Do you know the date of it right now? Do you remember the date?
Not off the top of my head. I don't know the date. No,
The year?
I don't remember. I have a terrible memory. I'm sorry.
The 90s? Still in the 90s?
It's definitely the 90s. Yeah, it's definitely it has to be the 90s. But
Because if I was a videographer, then I have a video of it.
oh, you must have a video of it then too. Yeah.
Unless Bill took over by then. I don't know.
I didn't think he
I
took over
don't remember.
until. I didn't think he took over until the 2000s.
Okay.
I think you were still doing video. You must be still have been doing the video then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all on 8mm. I'm waiting until January. I got my eye on a deck. It's $700 to get a deck to play those.
Yeah.
But it has to be a workhorse. It's got the only used 8mm workhorse deck.
I bet you if you go to like just
Um,
if you could become a member at like a community access TV, and they probably have one that members can use, and then
it's an idea. It's an idea. I'll look around to that. I didn't think about that. They would have an old deck.
yeah, I'm sure that I can't imagine they throw it away. You know, if it still works, I'm
No,
sure
but
they have one.
you have to repair them. They die. The heads go.
Right.
The
Yeah, but
drive.
I would
I
think
will look into that. That's a great
access
idea.
TVs, there's a good chance they would have it.
I'll look into it.
Moving on with that little exciting news. Let's go over to our phone participant for tonight. Just gonna unmute her.
Yeah, yay, Carol.
Carol Weston, you are up. Oh, wait a second. Looks like something. Wait a second, Carol. Oh, I see what happened. There we go.
Yes, my boyfriend of 1963 was Tambi Mutu, and he called me up. I was in Colorado. No, he couldn't have called me because he wouldn't afford that. But anyway, I must have called him. And anyway, he said, give me 14 pages on Marion Moore. Well, I said, she's too old. I didn't like her. And so, but he wanted me to do something. So I did. I did 4 lines. And I thought, well, nobody will see it. Anyway, so in this, anyway, Festschrift for Marion Moore is what he put together, and my 3 lines, and let's see, another letter, dear Miss Marion Moore from Tambi Mutu, and I hope it won't embarrass you. And so the book was first offered to 4 New York publishers who wisely advised deferring publication. However, the number 7 has a mystical significance for centuries, so he went ahead and published the book for her 77th, Marion Moore's 77th birthday. And let's see, instead of a preface, Tambi Mutu, and then Sir Herbert Reid and Marion Moore by John Ciardi, and Conrad Aiken, and Richard Eberhardt, and Allen Ginsberg, and Richard Wilbur, and Robert Lowell, were in it, and Carol Weston. So I thought, all right, only 3 lines. I said I'll make it as small as possible, and no one will see it. What I didn't know was that each poem is put on a separate page. So this is to Marion Moore. She who'd hoped to be painter gave to us printed flower, animate with quiet power. And that's what I tried to hide in the book, and it didn't hide. Anyway, thank you. Someday
Thank you,
I'll show
Carol.
you the
Thank you, Carol. Carol, I'm going to call you at the end of Stone Soup. 857, it'll be an 857 number.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And who do we have next? Yes. Julian Powers, and maybe even later, Nico in a Santa hat. Let's welcome up Julian now. Oh, there you go.
To Those Who Matter by Roberta Hill Whiteman. The sunlight in your heart hovers in your smile when you share your knowledge, men and women of intelligence and grace. You created the spirit of this place. How you aided my soul, that fluttering thing that tries to launch across the haze, that wants to flit beyond the first green leaves of life. The moonlight in your heart fills the city as it sleeps and dreams. That moonlight knits our wounds through the many ways you think of others climbing the hills behind you. Cold Mountain said, don't lose the moment's happiness. The same wind that woke him wakes us now. The starlight in your heart twinkles in Duck Creek, glistens like dew on early grass. It helps the buds break as now into a shock of green. When we talk, sometimes I see one intense, immense earth, wider than our words and more profound, brilliant as a breath, wearing your radiance. Thank you.
Thank you, Julianne. And now, once again, with like James Bond versus Spectre versus Christmas, it's I love that last story. Let's bring back Mr. John Wezick.
Thank you. Patricia Kerrigan's Christmas tree is still green in July. Maybe there's a cursed portrait of Dorian bonsai with loose dentures and needles gone to gray. Maybe it's a vampire. I hear vampire trees prey on vegetables, not people, though it must be a shock to open the crisper drawer and find the zucchinis sucked dry through fang marks in its green skin. If Patricia's pantry is not enough, the tree transforms into a helicopter seed that spirals out the window to feed on Park Avenue sugar maples. Of course, helicopter seeds can't fly back upstairs. The tree's walk of shame past a smirking doorman is worth it because every day in Patricia's penthouse is Christmas.
That's pretty amazing, John. Thank you. And you're right, that is a very green tree. Almost mutant green. I like it. Let's go now to the musical stylings of Mr. Mackler, the Pulse of Stone Soup and beyond. Very nice. Mr. Schrager, do you have another B track, another deep cut?
I got
Another,
I got a deep cut video. Can I screen share? I think this is from.
Let me get the, let me give you the permission. Da, 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 da. Every time.
This is from, I think it was an anniversary Stone Soup year. He had it downstairs at TT the Bears.
Mhm.
And I forget the name of the cello player, and an oboe player was on stage with me. And I had really long hair. and I gave somebody the camera. So it's this really funny, funky camera shot, but it's a good poem and it's music.
Was it John Wesick?
No,
No, John, now I'm totally forgetting the name of the bass player that did Peace Fire.
cello. He was a cello player. He was
John
actually
Voight. John Voight is who I
No,
was
no,
thinking.
John. No, it wasn't John Voight. It was a cello player. He was actually my roommate for a little while, and then yeah, he was. I tried to help him out. He was in a tough spot. Anyway, let me do the screen share. Let's see. Here it is.
Should be able to do it now.
Yeah. It's a Facebook video, so I don't think I've done this too many times, but you'll see not many people have seen it. It's just, for some reason, I just checked it out. Okay, let's see. Play. Here it is. Can you see this? Can you see the screen?
I can see grayness right now. I don't see the actual.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That's good enough.
Oh, there we go. I see what we're looking at. Yep, all set. But I don't hear sound, so I don't know if that's. Oh, there we go.
A love of no one's possession. Day opens her eyes in the middle of the night. Age has time to remember moments matter. Will two vie over a single truth under the one night's sun? Would no risk of one might be to choose fear love here? The second hand of truth moves once, and time measures alone the swiftness of life. Nothing lives so beautifully here as a love of no one's possession. Feel the secluded releasing touch of two, opening to what opens. Now we become being. And then strange how fear's familiar comes to tip us with past holdings. Or will we be soul moves, speaking forms of voice, with all lust at peace, and all genderful power in balance? Seeds come to a silent garden where honestly the silence lives to hear alone a union flower. The sky breathes here to intersect with the land. Here we are by no false air to receive life in here.
Table 61. Let's see if to get the date. July 21st, 2001.
Wow.
That's old. It makes me laugh.
That
Downstairs,
crazy scene.
downstairs, TT the Bears anniversary. Or maybe it wasn't an anniversary show because It was some sort of special event. I forget why we were over there. But yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, thank you,
That's good.
CC.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully we'll be getting more. This might be this coming year might be the year of the archive, because I just got
Oof.
some stuff back from Steve Underick, who converted a lot of DVDs and VHSs of mine into video. One which is at least one Stone Soup performance with Jack Powers still hosting.
You know what I found on DVD the other day? James may remember this. James, you there? Remember the homeless kids? It was north of Leslie College. There was a bunch of poets. I went and just videoed it. You were one of the things. It was the homeless kids art show. And it was called I forget. I came across the VHS the other day of that. I made it into a thing. I must have used it for like Cambridge Cable or something as a special show. So I still have that video. I think it's
wonderful. It was wonderful seeing those kids work.
Yeah, do you remember? So
And
this
it was actually also just devastating because they were showing the psychological condition of abandonment that they were experiencing from their homeless condition in their artwork so plainly and so graphically. There were like these big storms over the buildings, or they had no windows so they couldn't look out, or they had a whole bunch of windows so everybody could have their own room. It was just every piece of work that they were showing was a graphic representation of the trauma that was being experienced by those children.
I picked up the box and I had a flashback, and I remember that like all of the kids that they drew houses, but none of the houses were on the ground.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
That was trippy. That's exactly the same thing he's mentioning. There was a lot of how powerful art can be for healing for kids. All homeless kids made art. It was the LA thing. They traveled across the country. I think it was Leslie College. What was the name of that thing? I think Elizabeth McKinnon was involved.
Yeah.
And they used they have a grant. Leslie used to give 2 grants away a year. I forget the name of the money, the pile of money they used to do that, the program. But yeah, I went up and videoed it. I think I made a nice little video. I haven't seen it, so I forget what it is, but that would be it. All these archive ideas, Chad, should be put together, and you should make nights where people come and pay $5 or $10 to watch 2 hours of archives and do the fundraiser, and come up with some equipment to change other archive stuff over.
We got some possibilities now with Dwayne backing us up now at the gallery. So maybe that's something we could actually do with the tapes we have now before they're even converted.
You know who I want to see more than anything is I miss him so much. He drank old duels. He was a comedian, poet. Bobby Land. How many remember Bobby Land? What a genius that guy was. Oh man, I would love to just go into those archives and just make a video. This guy was good. But he came to Stone Soup and he sat with Jack and he drank his old duels because he was going on his little dry trip or whatever it was, sort of trying to stay away from the comedy clubs because there was too much alcohol there. He used to come to Stone Soup. It was brilliant. He was brilliant. His work was good, but he was in a league of his own. There was no other Bobby Land. But that's archive worthy. That's something. That's what Jack did. He gave people voices, So anyway. But Jeff's beaming. He remembers Bobby Land. Whatever. Anybody know him? Remember him? What happened? Yeah. All right.
To be continued. I think we're left now with Mr. James Van Looy after CC brought the house down with that blast in the past. It's up to James to raise the roof and get us all home. Take it away, sir.
So I got a piece here called Sistine Chapel Sons. They had told us, my ex-wife's daughter's dad, that the Sistine Chapel's crowd huddled there on the floor of that big empty space, blank faces on craned necks, tour guides lifting their colors Somehow I grabbed us 2 seats along the wall near the entry steps. And just as we had heard the mob in the center space, stolid, resisting the inevitable movement towards the distant exits, mills and shifts, and keeps trying to look up, and they are talking in languages, this great global glossalia, Pentecost of Babylon and on. We sit there on the wall watching it all. That is the story of the faith and the people who believe it, even though none of us really know what it is. We can almost see that until silence, silencio, implore the guards. And here's a Leonard Cohen song in Dutch. Suzanne neemt je mee naar een bank aan het water. 1000 schepen gaan voorbij en tak wordt maar niet later. En je weet dat hij te gek is, want daarom zit je naast haar. En she geeft je peppermintjes, want she geeft je groggies, teetsbars en net als je wilt verzeggen. Ik kan je geen liefde geven, kom heel de stad te leven. En hoor je meeuwen schreeuwen, en je hebt steeds van haar gehouden. En je wilt wel met haar meegaan, samen naar die overkant. En je moet haar wel vertrouwen, want she houdt al je gedachten in haar hand. En Jezus was een visser, die het water zo vertrouwde, dat hij zomaar over zee liep, omdat hij het leven houden van de golding en de branding, waar niemand kan verdrinken. Hij zei, o mens, blijf geloven, kan de spoorste steen niet zinken, maar die hemel ging pas open, toen zijn lichaam was gebroken. En hoe hij geleden, dat weet alleen de visser aan het kruis. En je wilt wel met hem meegaan, samen naar die overkant. En je moet hem wel vertrouwen, want hij houdt al je gedachten in zijn hand. Toen neemt je mee naar een bank aan het water. Je aanhoudt waar ze naar kijkt, al herinnering voor later. En al zonlicht lijkt wel honing, waarin kinderen zich te goed doen. En het grasveld ligt bezaaid met wat de mensen zo alweer doen. En de goot liegen de helden met een glimlach op de lippen. En de meeuwen in de lucht lijken net verwaalde stippen. Als Suzanne je lachten aankijkt en je wilt wel met haar meegaan, samen naar die overkant. En je moet haar wel vertrouwen, want she houdt al je gedachten in haar hand. Thank you.
That was awesome. I think you found your inner Leonard Cohen. That's your key. You know, my mother was a singer, and it's important to know what key you sing in. That you nailed that one. That was an octave stretch. Nice job.
Thank you, James. That was wonderful. And thank you all for coming out to Stone Soup. And for those of you who can see us live next week at the Assemblage Gallery, please be there if you can for Deb Priestley's return for a live show. And hopefully when I send an email to Dwayne from the Assemblage, we'll see about getting some kind of hybrid setup. And hopefully with the friends I get to talk to, we'll have something put together. And hopefully we'll have also the return of the podium, which has not been with us for a little while because the gallery pre-pandemic asked us to remove it because they didn't have room for it, but now they're saying that they do. So I want to get that out of my mom's garage and bring it bring it back with all due haste. It'll be nice if we have it just for just in time for Deb's return. Hey, Nico.
You could always live stream it just, from a camera. If it doesn't have to be a hybrid, at least live stream it.
That's where at the very least I want to do that. I agree. But it would be nice to have as many people say hi to her as possible because she misses a lot of us.
Get a tripod, and then somebody might have a little phone connection instead of the thing. I bought one of those. They're pretty cheap.
Definitely.
Yes.
But on that note, time to do the little wave. Thank you guys for a really inspired selection tonight. And I look forward to talking and speaking and looking at you guys in one more time, at least before the year's end. Hopefully we're going to have a nice feature to send us off for 2022 as we jump into the uncertain hell that may or may not be 2023. But some good news keeps on coming in drips, and hopefully, cute little stuffed cats. So see, we're already getting better. It's the end. We got stuffed cats. We got a pug. What do you want? What do you want from me? All right. So thank you guys very much. Have yourself a great evening, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Evan. Good show.
Okay.